This Thanksgiving is the first time in 2 years since we've had Weston that we're actually not in a life or death crisis. When Weston was born, he was a fairly normal child. He did all the normal baby things babies are supposed to do, and we were new parents. We had no idea what to expect, but it was good. It was exciting, and 4 weeks into his life, something radically changed.
He would have mucousy, bloody diapers after nearly every time he ate. And he would stop eating and just scream in pain and throw up. And then sometimes he would continue eating, and then other times he would just refuse to eat. And as he got older, we just had to force feed him.
And so we took him to the doctor quite a bit, and they said, the normal thing, virus, or maybe it's the flu, or maybe it's something else that should clear up after some time, and it wasn't just a temporary change. It never got better.
So we tried a lot of things to try to get Weston to be better, and really we were willing to try anything. One of the things I did was a total elimination diet and just cut out a lot of foods and was down to eating 8 or 9 foods. And that didn't help. He still would react every time he was breastfed. So we took him to allergists, feeding therapists, to GI doctors, different pediatricians, and they all just said they didn't know what was wrong with him. And they ended up diagnosing him with something called FPIES, which basically means that he has a severe intolerance to food. And they couldn't tell us what food it was. They could just say that you would have to try it with him and see how he reacted. So at 18 months, he was not sleeping through the night. So we all have been sleep deprived now for a year and a half. We're very hopeless and feel like there's really nothing that can be done. He wasn't growing, went to the doctor, and he hadn't grown at all since he was 12 months old. In the last 6 months, he wasn't eating any foods regularly. He would take a bite every other day or so of food.
So I was just day after day kind of coming home from work, and it was survival mode every day. Like, what was wrong with him today? What did he do today that was horrible? And I don't know, how did you feel about it?
Well, I was overwhelmed with cooking everything from scratch, to be honest, and I was really tired, and of course you're nursing, and so you're really hungry all the time, and that was, until he was on the formula. I was really ungrateful, and I just remember crying because I felt so guilty, because I hated being a mom, and I hated everything that it was taking to take care of Weston, and not seeing any results and not seeing him get better, and just overwhelmed with how long is this going to be? This feels like forever, and I feel like there's no hope. God answered, and he gave me Hebrews 12, where it talks about God disciplining us, and for the moment all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but in the end it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness for those who have been trained by it. Not that I wanted my son sick. I still pursued answers, and I still tried to, help him as much as I could, but I definitely had a different outlook, and it was God's grace choosing that for me, because he knew that he wanted to grow me in specific ways that I could only be grown in if he took me through that time.
Another huge lesson that the Lord was teaching us was the issue of control. Our best efforts are nothing without him, and anything that we could try, with all the scientific research that we can muster and all of the doctor visits that we could do, that still wouldn't fix our son, and God wouldn't bring him to a place of healing on our timetable at all. It was going to be through his timetable, and it was going to be through something that we consider somewhat miraculous, the way we found it, and just what happened through that time.
So at 18 months old, we were so desperate, and after that doctor's visit, I just knew that the doctor's advice to keep him on formula and just to keep trying what we were trying, I just felt like that was not what we should be doing, and I asked God, and he just kept bringing back to me the GAPS protocol, which basically is a healing protocol that is founded on the idea that if you heal your gut, then you can begin to heal your health problems. And so I decided to jump in. And it was the scariest thing that I've ever done in my life. For 14 days, Weston didn't eat. We forced him to drink water. And he stopped talking. And he stopped walking. And he just became skin and bones. And I thought for sure he was going to die. And I was so scared, but I didn't know what else to do. Because if we kept him on formula, he wasn't growing either. So we literally were just crying out from our knees and asking God to save our child and to make him better. And, on day 15, he turned a corner and he began to drink the stock. And then he began to eat the grass-fed beef. And within 2 days, he was eating an entire roast himself, like within
so
2 days,
3 pounds
like
of
a
beef.
3-pound roast, like in one day. And so instead of being up in the middle of the night and he's screaming and crying and we're trying to force feed him formula, we're up in the middle of the night in the kitchen cooking roast and like feeding him.
We ran out of food a lot that first week when he started eating because we'd never seen him eat that much before.
And we didn't know where to get it from because you can't just buy it at the grocery store. So we had to get it from a local farm. So it was like total faith. I mean, we ran out of food so many times. Like we were like, we don't have anything else. We don't have anything else to feed him. What are we gonna do? And I mean, that still happens. But every single time, God has always answered, and we've always found a source for him to have food that he can eat and he can tolerate.
Hope that number one, that you keep your faith in God and that know that he has a purpose for you in your trial, and maybe his purpose isn't necessarily to heal on your timetable, but it is to give you a closer walk with him, to draw you nearer to a knowledge of who he is.
When doctors say that it's a dead end, it might not be, and I would just encourage you to keep seeking out answers, because God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or imagine according to his power that works in us. And with God, all things are possible.
Yes. He likes cows.